Hello, my name is Ward Coleman, and I am looking forward to being with you and Josh. In this second short video, Josh McDowell will be sharing the second step of the 7 steps of parenting. Do your children know that you love them no matter what? Do they know that they can come to you with anything? If your child knows this, he or she has the security of knowing what it means to be accepted by you. How do we do this? In the second session, please take notes as Josh explains to us the need for acceptance.
When we show unconditional acceptance to our children, it gives them a sense of security. In Romans 15:7, it says this: accept one another just as God has accepted you through Christ. How did God accept us through Christ? Through performance and everything? No. By faith in what Christ did in the cross. Unconditional acceptance. And you see, when I saw how God accepted me unconditionally, He didn't say, Josh, if you do this and this and this, I'll love you. I love you. I'm passionate about a relationship with you. And that brought me into that relationship. Well, in the same way then, as God relates to us, we are to relate to our children. Unconditional acceptance. In Psalm 8, verses 4 to 8, it says, I can understand how you can bother with mere puny man to pay any attention to him, and yet you have made him only a little lower than the angels and placed him a crown of glory, honor upon his head. You have put him in charge of everything you made. Everything is put under his authority. All sheep and oxen, all animals, the birds and the fish, and all the life in the sea. And David said, look how wonderful you have made man, how you accept me. In Psalm 139, verses 13 to 18, you made all the delicate inner parts of my body and knit them together in my mother's womb. Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. God said, look how I've made you. I want to accept you. And this was after the fall. This was after sin had entered everything. God said, I love you. I want you to come to me. And through Christ, He made the avenue that we could come to Him. That's called propitiation, that Christ satisfied the holy, just, righteous nature of God. Romans chapter 3, verse 25. When we show unconditional acceptance to our children, it says to our kids, I will love you no matter what happens. You talk about a child being secure. And see, here's the thing. When a child is secure in their relationship with mom and dad or any adult, when they're very secure, then they'll be more transparent and they'll be more vulnerable. Why? They're not fearful of the hammer coming down. A young lady came to me. She was 16 years old. It was at a Jesus festival, and she said, I could see something. I said, what's wrong? She said, I'm pregnant. And I'm afraid of telling my parents. Well, I have a policy. Whenever I counsel anyone, I must encourage them to first tell their parents. Because if anyone counseled my child and didn't do that, boy, they better go into isolation or exile. I mean, whether they come to me or not is not that counselor's problem, but they need to encourage that. And so I said, I want you to go to your mom and dad. And I said, I'll pray for you. My wife and I will. But I want you to go. First thing, before I give you any of our counsel, I want you to go tell your folks. And I said, now here is my phone number. And just before you tell them, call me, for my wife and I can be praying for you. Your name was Karen. And then afterwards, I want you to call me immediately and tell me what happened. Oh, she called up afterwards. She was crying and laughing and joy. She said, she described how she sat there and her mom and dad was there. And finally she came out and looked at her father and said, Dad, I am pregnant. And I'm heading on the phone saying, what happened? She said, my dad got up, came over, threw his arms around me, says, honey, I love you. We'll see it through together. Oh, I thought if every child could have that kind of relationship with their father, there wouldn't be a problem with sex. There wouldn't be a problem with drugs and alcohol and violence and walking away from the truth. Accept one another just as God has accepted us through Christ. When I saw, as I pointed out in the other session, how God accepted me, not because of anything I did, but because of what Christ did. then I thought that needs to become the principle by which I relate to my children. Truth without relationships leads to rebellion. With affirmation, we give our children a sense of authenticity. That's building a relationship. Second, with unconditional acceptance gives our children a sense of security. Or it'd be much easier for them to be more transparent, to be vulnerable, and in building a relationship. This is one of the key relational aspects to our children, accepting the very truth we want to incorporate into their lives. In the next session, I want to go through 5 other simple principles. We will go into part 2 of the relational aspect of truth, of building that relationship with that child, that they might accept the very truth that is credible.
We provide security for our children through unconditional acceptance. And we let them know that they are loved regardless of the situation or the circumstances. Children who feel secure in that relationship, they will communicate with you. Do you have a genuine appreciation for your children? In the next session, Josh will share with us how to appreciate our children. The third part of our study together is appreciation. Let us join together next time to see why we as parents need to appreciate our children.